John Tavares possibly back in the Maple Leafs lineup, Robertson or Malgin for opening night, and the waiver wire. This is going to be a jam-packed video surrounding everything Toronto Maple Leafs. First off, before we go any deeper into this video today, if you are not subscribed, which a lot of you aren't, don't forget to hit the subscription button down below. See it right here, the subscription button. Don't forget to hit that, and don't forget as well, if you do enjoy the video, to leave a like. So first off, happy Thanksgiving. There was a number of things that happened throughout the past 24 hours, like Adam Gaudette, Victor Mete, Wayne Simmons, and Kyle Clifford all going on waivers the day after both Joey Anderson and Mac Hollowell were. Now, beginning with Hollowell and Anderson, both of them cleared, so they are now back down with the Toronto Marlies. But the four that I just named before them were interesting names, and they were possibly all players that would be claimed. But as you can see from both Luke Fox and Elliot Friedman, all four of Clifford, Gaudette, Mete, and Simmons clear waivers. So what's going to happen? Well, Gaudette, Mete, and Clifford will likely go down to the Toronto Marlies, while Kyle Dubas will likely try and find Wayne Simmons another home. Simmons wants to continue to play in the NHL, and he believes he still can, so Kyle Dubas is doing good on the veteran by trying to find him another spot, and with him clearing waivers, a trade is likely going to happen within the next 24 to 48 hours. I mean, hey, there's always the possibility that Simmons sticks around if no team wants him. He could go down to the Marlies, be a very good contributor and a very good veteran presence down there, but I don't see that as a likely option, as again, Simmons wants to remain in the NHL. He wants to be a day-to-day NHL player, and that's not going to happen if he's down with the Toronto Marlies. So it'll be fascinating to see where he goes in the next 24 to 48 hours, but if it is his last few days as a Maple Leaf, there was a lot of good and a lot of fun with him in this roster, and it was crazy to see him on this team to begin with because a lot of people didn't think it would happen, but man, he provided a lot of fun, a lot of great stuff for this Maple Leafs team, and it'll be unfortunate to see him go, but that is just the unfortunate reality of that situation. But with the waivers happening, there was the possibility of a full Maple Leafs lineup or opening night roster at practice today, and well, we got something like that. First of all, John Tavares returned to practice in a regular jersey for the first time since suffering an oblique strain a few weeks ago, so that's the first good news, and it looks like he might be ready for opening night. As you can see from David Alter, Tavares says Wednesday is still possible. Chances continue to grow, and that's a really good sign for the Maple Leafs. It's also not a good sign if he isn't ready. But before we go any deeper into the Tavares cap situation, we're going to look at the lines from practice, and as you can see, we're going to highlight this second line of Tavares, Nylander, and Malgin because, well, it looks like Dennis Malgin has made the team, and Nick Robertson, as you can see, is an extra, which means he did not make the team. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing for Nick Robertson. Sheldon Keefe did say after the practice today that this was a good training camp for both of Robertson and Malgin. The unfortunate part, though, is that Malgin would need waivers to go down to the AHL. Robertson doesn't. So with that being the case, Robertson is the easier guy to send down, and with that, they don't have to worry about Dennis Malgin. Possibly, potentially, he would 100% actually get claimed off waivers. He's a very good player for the Maple Leafs in training camp and preseason, and I'd say there was 100% chance that he would get claimed if he was put on waivers. So again, an unfortunate situation for Robertson. He had a great training camp, a really solid one, but now he's going to see himself back in the AHL. It's probably not the best thing for his confidence and his really play and how he feels, but he should feel very good about the training camp that he had because it was a solid one at that. But one of the most interesting things about this cap situation surrounding the Maple Leafs is if John Tavares is not ready to go on Wednesday night in Montreal, the Maple Leafs will have to play with one less forward. As you can see from Luke Fox, Sheldon Keefe tells reporters that yes, if John Tavares is unavailable Wednesday, the Maple Leafs will have to dress one skater short on opening night. Now, courtesy of Cap Friendly, the reason for this is they're so tight to the cap, it's not even funny. They needed all four of Simmons, Gaudette, Mete, and Clifford's to go down to the AHL, and that's happening. They also needed Carl Dahlstrom to be on season opening injured reserve, and as you can see by Cap Friendly's tweet, that only gave them a $78,750 cap hit. And then once you place Timothy Liljegren and Jordy Ben on LTIR, this roster is $4 from the salary cap. $4! $4. That's the reason why Nick Robertson cannot stay up. Obviously, I think there's the possibility that if things do go south and Tavares doesn't play, they could go into the next day and call up Nick Robertson from emergency. But at that point, who really knows? I suspect Tavares will play on opening night. I think that's a big thing for him, and he'd really want to play on opening night. But if that's the case, again, it's always possible Nick Robertson is an emergency recall the next day for their home opener against Washington. But speaking of the home opener and their game in Montreal on Wednesday, Sheldon Keefe said after practice today who would be starting for either game. And well, as it seems from Mark Masters, Matt Murray starts on Wednesday. Ilya Samsonov starts in the home opener on Wednesday against his former team. Now listen, I really like this. I do like giving Matt Murray the first game to show him that he could be the guy that's the front runner for the majority of the starts this season for the Maple Leafs. And then you give Ilya Samsonov a sort of bet on yourself game against your former team at the home opener in Scotiabank Arena where the crowd will be buzzing. I think this is the perfect scenario for both guys to show what they're capable of, what they're going to be able to do as goaltenders on the Maple Leafs, and this is just, for me, a great coaching decision from Keefe. But now, as you can see with my camera removed for a second, this is the opening night lineup, or the potential opening night lineup for the Maple Leafs. You have Bunting, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Malgin. You then have a bottom six of Engvall, Kerfoot, Yarncroke, Aston Reese, Camp, and Nicholas Aube-Kubel. Then the defense looks like Riley, Brody, Muzzin, Hall, Giordano, Rasmus Sandin. This is a perfect opening night roster in my opinion. Obviously, again, I would like to see Nick Robertson there if there was the possibility for it, but with it not being the case right now, I think this is the best opening night roster Toronto could go with. Yes, there are some interesting things like Muzzin and Hall and whether or not they might be able to be good together like they were 2 seasons ago compared to last year. That'll be an interesting thing to look at. Also, as well, once Timothy Liljegren returns, what will happen there? And that's another big thing as well. So there's still a lot around the injuries and the lineup. It's obviously not going to be the final look. And throughout the season as well, there's going to be injuries. There's going to be a lot of things happening. So it's always, to me, going to be a moving thing of who's going to be here, who's going to be here, who's going to slot in here, who's going to slot in there. So there's a lot of things that happen throughout the season, and there's always going to be moving parts once again until probably either the trade deadline or the playoffs. So yeah, that is really it for all the news today. Let me know what you think about all of these things, the lineup, the starters, the salary cap stuff. Put it all in the comment section down below. I'm also trying something different here where I'm starting to use OBS and just being able to flip back and forth. As you can see, I'm doing back and forth. But yeah, that's it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe, and we'll see you whenever I see you, whenever that may be. We'll see you in the next video.